Okay, we're here on the video for the Day 8 solutions for the We Are Ready packet. This front page of the packet with these 4 multiple choice questions I've broken into 4 separate slides. If you're looking at which one of these are you most likely to see on the ISTEP, they would most likely be questions that are far more likely to be like number 2 and number 3 than number 1 and number 4. But we'll go ahead and answer all 4 of these. Now, a real quick explanation of what these pictures are showing. These pictures are showing basically slicing through a 3-dimensional solid. So if we slice through this rectangular prism, that cross-section there, the shaded area, is going to end up being a rectangle. This cross-section also will end up being a rectangle. This one would be a square. And the final one would be a rectangle as well. So you're looking at what does it look like if I were to slice along that plane, what does the cross-section look like when I look directly at it? So it says, which sentence best describes how the cross-section in figure C was formed? And this plane is parallel to the base of the pyramid. So the best answer would be figure C was sliced parallel to the base. Okay? It's not perpendicular, it's not diagonal, and the lateral faces, that would be one of the triangles. Clearly that plane is not parallel to one of the triangles, so that would be out as well. These questions, these cross-section questions, are super easy questions. We already answered this one on the previous page, the cross-section of figure B, so we're only looking at the pyramid. When we cut across there, it sort of looks like maybe that would be some sort of parallelogram, but it absolutely would not. Remember that this length is the same all the way across. So even though it's down there, these are the same length, and these diagonals are the same length. So that would be a rectangle. Third question says, which figure has a cross-section that is a square? The answer to that is figure C would be a square, because the base of the pyramid is a square. So any cross-section parallel to the base would also be a square. Finally, which figure does not have a plane cutting parallel or perpendicular to any face or base of the solid? The only one of these 4 figures that's being cut at an angle is figure B. So again, these questions don't really give me a lot of ability to give you a lot of work to show, because these are the kind of questions you will see on the non-calculator portion of the multiple choice section. So what we will be taking on probably Wednesday. These questions, a calculator won't help you anyway, so there's no reason for them to not be on the calculator portion. Now this is one of the few worksheets that has a backside as well, so we will continue. The next problem says factor the trinomial. We've done a bunch of these in class here recently. Without an a value, there's no number in front of x squared. We know that this is factoring into 2 binomials, both of which start with x. We have to find a pair of numbers that multiplies to C and adds to B. So we need a pair of numbers that multiplies to positive 36 and adds to negative 13. Now this clearly means that they both need to be negative numbers. So we just simply go through and we look at all the pairs of numbers that multiply to equal 36. There's only 5 sets of negative numbers that multiply to equal 36. And then go in and add them together. And as you can see, only one of them adds to negative 13. That would be negative 4 and negative 9, meaning it factors into x minus 4 and x minus 9. Now, there's a lot of ways they could word that question, but what it comes down to is you've got to be able to factor trinomials. Next question says to multiply. There's a lot of different ways we could do this problem. I like to show double distribution. Remember that when we multiply polynomials, we need to make sure that each term in the first set of parentheses multiplies each term in the second set of parentheses. So we need to do 2x times 4x squared, which would be 8x cubed. 2x times negative 5x would be negative 10x. And 2x times 2 would be, negative 10x squared. And 2x times 2, which is 4x. Then we do 3 times 4x squared, which is 12x squared. 3 times negative 5x is negative 15x. And 3 times 2 is 6. Now we would be done here, except there are like terms that we need to deal with. So we need to add up the like term pairs. That'd be 8x cubed plus 2x squared minus 11x plus 6. There are a couple of other methods you could use here. You could use the box method. It'd be a 2 by 3 box, but you would end up with the same results. And you could also rewrite it as a double distribution problem, a FOIL problem, except it's not a binomial times a binomial, so FOIL doesn't really apply. Final question on this worksheet is asking you to turn 2/9 into a decimal. Remember that what a fraction is really a division problem. So essentially what it wants you to do is take 2 and divide it by 9. This is not a calculator question because you should remember how to do long division. 9 doesn't go into 2, so we have to add the 0. 9 goes into 20 twice, which would be 18. We subtract, we have 2 left over. We add another 0 and bring it down. 9 goes into 20 twice, which is 18. Subtract, we have a leftover 2. So bring down the next one, which is 2. And hopefully by now you're seeing a pattern. It doesn't matter how far we decide to go, it's never going to end. It's always going to be the exact same pattern, right? So this decimal is going to continue forever, meaning that 2/9 is 0.2 repeating. That does it for the solutions for this particular worksheet.